Top 100 Shortcuts for Logos 4, Part 3 of 6. And we're going to teach you how to save time and be a Logos 4 Pro. Now this presentation is a little unique because it really is just getting in, showing you a feature, and getting out. Not much doctrine is going to be passed on in this type of webinar. This is just to show you feature and function. And we're going to cover 15 key shortcuts in this one, bringing at this point 40 shortcuts that we have shown so far in the first 3 webinars, this being the 3rd webinar. We still got 3 more, 4, 5, and 6. Well, we'll cover those other 60. So we'll be picking up the speed and trying to get about 20 shortcuts per webinar. So this one might be, we'll probably end around 10:30. And as you can see here, there's quite a bit. We are going to take a little bit of a sneak peek at 4.5 features and some of the shortcuts there, but don't forget, February 1st I'll be releasing new videos. So if you have purchased my training CDs or downloaded my training CDs or both, you will get an email from me to download those updated training videos for free. That's part of my commitment. When you buy 4.0 training from LearnLogos.com, we keep your training up to date as Logos makes changes to 4.0. Now, when 5.0 comes out and it's a whole new interface, then we start all over again. But for now, it's still 4.0 and those updates are free to you. And so enjoy those. And someone made a comment, no Monday Night Football tonight. That is very true. We got the Super Bowl coming up very soon, and we'll have to do something with that maybe next time. Okay, just a reminder, this is the 4th Monday of the month, the webinar, and you can see there we've got the top 100 shortcuts. We've got some new, I just announced on February 27th, actually it was added January 21st. The discourse analysis. So we're going to get into that and show you how to use that practically for Bible study. So that's coming up next month on the 4th Monday of the month. And you can see some study important doctrines that are coming up on addiction and suicide. We've got an open one in May. Haven't decided what we're going to do there. And then we've got some other things about commentaries and dictionaries, etc. Mastering your library, working with different books and things like that. Don't forget, we have free live training 3 times a month, and there's no place on the internet you can go to get this kind of training, where I'm so excited to offer this. And so the first Monday of every month from 9 to 10:30, and the next one will be February 6th. We're going to do how to use the syntax search engine. So if you've always wanted to know how to use that, you're going to get trained for that live and free. Then the 3rd Monday of every month, which is February 20th, is our next one. We're going to study important doctrines and talk about the tongue. And then, of course, we just mentioned the 4th Monday, February 27th, discourse analysis. That's the HDNT and all those. We're going to look at that. You can sign up for these at LearnLogos.com/webinar. Don't forget, the webinars are on sale, 50% off. Normally $9.99. You can get them for $4.99. And usually within 24 hours, I can get that link out, barring any unforeseen circumstances and technical glitches. Also, the webinars move a little bit quicker. We cover a lot of ground, and if you're new to Logos 4, one of the great ways to get more out of Logos 4 and the webinars is to purchase and use the training bundle. There you can see the orange CD that lays the foundation of Logos 4 features. Then I give you the blue CD, which helps you apply the features for the purpose of Bible study and sermon preparation. And the green CD is an update of some of the features that have come out since 4.0 first released. And that's all together over 15 hours of training, 160 lessons. It is the most comprehensive, organized training for Logos 4 on the internet. And it's at a great value of 50% off. Ranging from $34.99 for the download only to $39.99 for CD only, and $44.99 if you want the CD and the download, which is nice if you want that download with the backup media. So take advantage of that opportunity. And just for one of the questions that comes up is like, how do you compare this to Camp Logos 1 and 2? Bottom line, this contains all of Camp 1, all of Camp 2, and more. So it really is comprehensive, and you got to watch the. It's really about the content, and we get into training. There's not a lot of time. You don't see my face or anything like that. We just go in and show you live screen training all the way through. Plus, we have interactive and non-interactive training The non-interactive simulates the Logos experience. So in the video, I'll tell you to click on the toolbar. You'll actually click on the toolbar for the video to proceed. And that's the interactive videos. I also give you the non-interactive videos, which is your traditional video. Click play. It'll play. You can pause, rewind, etc. And Onel says, how often do you do the... I'm not sure what that last one is, so if you could repeat that question, Onel, then I know exactly what you're looking for. Okay, so let's begin with our first 5 shortcuts. And the first one is discovering the context of a Bible passage. Now, this one is really important because it's an important step in the Bible study process. So let me bring up Logos here. And let's go ahead and open up a Bible. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the command box and we're going to type in a passage. I'm going to type in, let's just say, John 1:1, a very famous passage, notable passage. And when you type in John, and notice I did John space 1 space 1, no period, no colon, just right in there. Logos interprets that and gives us this menu that says look up, and it says go to John 1:1 as a confirmation of where you want to go. And since we do want to go to John 1:1, we just press enter. And our preferred Bible opens up. In this case, I've got the New American Standard. Now, when you study the Bible, it's real easy to fall into the trap of just looking at that verse and nothing else. And that's very dangerous. Because a verse really by itself is not much of a verse. And I mean this in the sense you're not having the context. You're not understanding what came before and what came after. More false religions have been started because of verses taken out of context and just used. And one of the funniest stories that I ever heard about a verse being taken out of context was the one where it talks about women will be saved through childbirth. And this was in Russia. And then a preacher came in and explained the context of all this. And they discovered that it's not about giving babies that brings you to heaven. And all the women got extremely mad at the men because they were populating more and more babies because they thought they could be saved through childbirth. So that's just one example of many. And of course, Sylvia points out that Satan's pretty good about taking scripture out of context. Exactly right. When Jesus went into the wilderness and he was tempted by the devil, and 3 times he did that, and that's a great, great example. And so what do we do? How can we avoid that in an easy way? Well, let me show you a tool in Logos that instantly can tell you the context of any passage. So the first step is just to go to your passage. Then go to the menu and go to Tools. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Passage Analysis. We're going to click that, and a window is going to open up. Now, I'm going to maximize this window by clicking on the Maximize button. And if you look at the bottom, there's 5 icons. Compare pericopes, the word tree, the morph river, the cluster graph, and the version river. Go ahead and click on the Compare Pericopes. Now, pericope is a fancy academic term which just stands for paragraph breaks or section breaks. And if we look closely at the top, let me explain how this is to be interpreted. First at the top we have our passage, John 1:1. So now you understand why we started with the Bible first and then jumped to the report. So it puts us right in our context. Second thing that you need to know is the pericope sets. Now let me click on that and let you see what's going on. When you click on it, you will see a list of every Bible that has a pericope set, has this information associated with its Bible. So I have some checked and I have some unchecked. You'll notice that, for example, I don't have these German Bibles checked or the Dutch Good Bible, etc. I've just got mostly English translations that I use. So you're going to go through and check the Bibles that you are most comfortable with. Now, and once you do that, you will then see these different columns of color. And each column, as you can see at the top, represents a different Bible. Now, the next part that I need to explain is over at the left is the Bible verse grid. So here's John 1:1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4. Additionally, in each colored box, there's kind of a summary text. Here we got the deity of Jesus Christ. And if I float my mouse over that text, I can see the first pericope. That is the first range of verses, 1 through 5. And we can go to the ESV, and you'll notice at the very right bottom, even though it's showing me 7 verses, because that's the limit here of this particular pop-up box, it really is an 18-verse pericope or verse range. Now, the other thing that you need to know to interpret this graph or this visualization is look at the white bars that are going across. You can see that there's a white bar, for example, in the New American Standard between verse 5 and verse 6. That's telling you that the New American Standard believes that the pericope or the context is from John 1:1 to John 1:5. So if I was going to look at John 1:1 and try to interpret it, I minimally have to look at it in the context of what verse 1 through verse 5. Now that's not to say that verse 6 and through 13, which is the next pericope range, is not relevant. But the immediate context is 1 through 5. Now that's the New American Standard. If you go to the ESV, they're saying that it's 1 through 18. If you go to New King James, they break it down into verses 1 and 2, and then verses 3 through 5. So you're going to see that, and that's why I have the NSB, the New King James up here, because they tend to be the most, they give you the shortest ranges, or they really break down the text into the smaller pericopes, which I like. So I like to see kind of an immediate context, and then I like to see the ESV there with the longer context. Now, we can change passages, and let's just do that for the fun of it. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3. Okay, and you'll see here that the HCSB, Holman Christian Standard Bible, or Holman Christian Standard Bible, will give you a break here where the other ones don't. So it really changes from passage to passage, from verse to verse, and that's why I like to have all my major translations that I am familiar with up here to look at so that I can compare them. Now, Sil's got a question. How do you order these Bibles in the way they appear? That's a great question. It looks like the order in which you check and uncheck determines the list. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that. All right, so let me uncheck all of these. And so now they're all unchecked. We can then choose the Bible order by checking first, let's say ESV, then the HCSB, then the NASB, and so forth. And we can go to the NIV, or New King James, NIV, NLT, RSV, TNIV, and so forth. And so here we go. We'll give Logos a moment to reset itself, and there you go. Let's go ahead and close down the pericope, and let's just close our workspace, make things a little bit clean and easy. So let's go back to the PowerPoint briefly, and let's ask the next question. How do you discover if you need to examine other translations? All right, so here's the thing. You've got a preferred translation, and you're asking the question, should I go and read the other translations? Is it worth the time and effort to do that? Now, if the verses are really different, the translations are really different, then yeah. But how do you determine that instantly? Well, let's go and see how we would do that in Logos. So once again, let's change it up, and let's use John 1:1 again. We're having fun with John 1:1, so I'll go to the command box, press enter, and now my ESV is my default Bible because I changed that in the prioritization. Now, this is actually pretty easy to do because all you need to do is go back to Tools and go to Passage Analysis. Okay, so Tools, Passage Analysis, and this time we're going to click on the cluster graph. Now, here's how you interpret the cluster graph. First, each red dot, or each circle, notice that I have my translations up here at the top. So let me walk you through. So there's my verse range at the top left. Then I have the various Bible translations. So you can go in here and pick it. What I recommend doing is creating a collection of your favorite Bible translations. And then like here I have all English Bibles or Bible's favorite. That's a nice way to organize it. And then after that you choose how you want to view it. In this case I'm set up for 3D. We'll just take a quick look at TD or 2D. And so you can see really quickly it's exactly the same, just a little bit cleaner. But I like the big balls, kind of that sphere look here with the little shadows. Now here's a good example where each one of these balls are away from one or the other. None of them are clustering together. They're not grouping together. Now, our passage up here is John 1:1 through 18. Let's go back to John 1:1 and just get that in there. So let me put John 1:1 in there. Okay. And you know what? The ESV is not letting me do that. There we go. Let's put in John 1:1. Let me go back to the, I'm just go John 1:1. Okay. 1 through 2. Let's just do 2 verses. Whoa, I didn't expect that. Okay. And there we go. We can move the balls around a little bit if you actually move your mouse on it. Let's get a little bit bigger range here. There we go. Okay. Now, you may not realize this, but if you click, these balls can move a little bit. Now, what's going on here? Well, let's say you want you want to see what the relationship is to these to each ball or sphere. You may not realize this, but they're kind of in a three-dimensional space. That's why it's 3D. So it's not just making them larger, but there is a kind of a relationship with these guys. Okay? And so as I move them around, I can see kind of how they're orbiting one another. Maybe that's the best analogy. Okay? So let's go back to the 2D, and you can see you don't have that capability to do that. And so just want to make you aware of that. Let me go back now to the 3D. And so the idea is this. The closer they are, the similar they are in translation. The farther away, the more different they are in word translation. And this is at the word-to-word level. So when I see these balls moving away from one another, that tells me that in verses 1 through 5, there's probably quite a few changes in the passages. Let's do another one. Let's do John 3:16. All right. Now again, it's doing verses 16 through 21. And so we can see here that the ESV and the NASB are very similar in translation. But the AV, the NRSV, and the NIV 84 are farther away. So I may check the NIV, but I wouldn't check the NASB if I was using the ESV because they're close. So this helps you visually see which translations are differing from the one that you're studying. Okay, I see a question here. I have a Mac and don't see the 3D or 2D option. Let's take a look. I've got my Mac right over here, and let me just confirm that for you real briefly. So let me go to Tools, Passage Analysis, and that is correct. It looks like they have not added that feature yet on the Mac, Diane, so you won't be able to play with those fun little things, so they'll give you more study time rather than play time. Okay. Sylvia, are the Bible categorically different, for example, for thoughts versus original? Well, actually, it's a great question, Sylvia, and what Sylvia is asking is this. Translations have a translation, for lack of a better term, they have rules of their translations. Some translations are very literal or formal, word for word, and that would be like the King James, the New American Standard. Then you get some translations that maybe are like the NIV, which are thought for thought. So they're taking phrases in and ideas and bringing an interpretation into the translation. So, and then you have the Message, for example, that's just a paraphrase. It's not really a translation in the truest sense. So all that is built in, and all the program is doing, Sylvia, is looking at the word for word. So it's saying, look, the ESV is different than the AV. It's different than the NRSV in different words, in different ways. Now, it may be word order. It may be word choice. It could be words that are missing, words that have been added, that kind of thing. But this gives you, again, a quick way to discover if you need to check another translation. Okay, let's see here. I got some more questions. Robert, having not used the cluster graph before, mine does not have any Bibles listed, and I can only add one at a time. How do I set up where more than one appears? Well, a couple ways. I recommend just going to Tools, Collections, and we'll wait for the collections to open up here. Let me make some room for it. All right, go to Tools, Collections, and just say, you know, Favorite English Bible, something like that. And then what you can do is you can start putting in the Bible translations, KJV or NASB 95 and so forth. Or you can just go to My Library and just put in type :Bible and begin to drag the various ones you want into this little drag space, and now you can get the various Bibles. Once you have that set up, then you can go back to the cluster graph and you can click in the box and you'll be able to choose from your collection the Bibles. This is a great way to do it, and then it just allows you to add and subtract consistently. Okay, we've got some other things here. Let's see. Bill, my passage analysis give me percentages, words in common. Passage analysis. Oh, look at this one. If you got too many Bibles, this is a good example. I recommend 5 to 10 Bibles. Don't start adding 10 or 20. It can get a little bit out of control there. So there's all my English Bibles. Let me go back to Bible's favorite. Okay, and let's see. I'm not sure, Bill, what you're seeing there. Maybe if you can do a screenshot and you can email me that, I can take a look at that later. Could this be done in the passage guide? No, it can't. Yeah, the passage guide. Yeah, there we go. If you float your mouse, eventually, look at this. I'll leave my mouse there. I've got this little animation going on. So let me do that again. Let me float my mouse over the ball. I'm clicking. What I did is I clicked on the ball one time, and now watch this. So let me do this. I'm going to click on the ESV one time. That's to do it again. Let me click it one more time. Now it's rotating, and now it's giving you some statistics. So I think this is what you're referring to, Bill. And so it tells you that 105 of the words were in common. Let me do it again with the NIV. 121 of the 152 words were in common, 20% difference. So that's giving you some more information statistically so you can get away from the subjective into the objective. So pretty cool, and it just keeps, looks like it just keeps going. So how many of you guys knew that feature existed? Type in yes if you knew that existed. Type in no if you didn't know it existed. See, there's all sorts of surprises in this Logos program, and who in the world would have thought? And Daniel said he knew it. That's pretty impressive, Daniel. And that's it. Okay, wonderful. So that's, again, so to discover if you need to examine a translation, this is one way to do it. Now, there's other ways to do this, and we'll look at that later, but I just want to let you through this. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and close down the passage analysis, and we'll close that.